Starting off at number 10, we have Adrien Brody. Adrien Brody is a well-respected dramatic actor, winning the Oscar in 2002 for the Best Actor in The Pianist, with him kissing presenter Halle Berry on stage. Then on the heels of his new fame, he was asked to host SNL in 2003. And when he was introducing the musical guest, Jamaican singer Sean Paul, he not only made everyone cringe with embarrassment, but he also broke one of the golden rules of live TV. For the introduction, Brody took it upon himself to grab a dreadlock wig and ramble in a problematic Jamaican accent for way too long before handing things off. And even though the Jamaican accent was offensive and he probably should have been banned for just that, the bit wasn't planned and he ended up wasting a lot of valuable airtime, which caused the ban. Brody spoke about the ban with the Huffington Post and said that he might be banned, but he never heard anything official about it. In at number 9, Sinead O'Connor. Sinead O'Connor was asked to perform on SNL in 1990, in the peak of her fame, but she ended up bailing when she realized comedian Andrew Dice Clay was going to be hosting. And although it put a wrinkle in things, they were still able to manage. O'Connor finally performed on SNL in October of 1992, but SNL was probably wishing that she didn't, because O'Connor ended the performance by holding up a picture of Pope John Paul II, ripping it up and stating, quote, "Fight the real enemy," obviously offending millions of people. The show quickly cut after they saw what happened, but the damage was already done and tons of angry calls came in. One audience member tried to assault O'Connor and had to be removed by security. Unsurprisingly, O'Connor never played SNL again. Wonder why? In at number 8, Kanye West. It's no shock that Kanye's banned. Honestly, I'm shocked he's not banned from everything at this point. Before the ban, West appeared on the show 7 times and always managed to bring an incredibly thought-out performance to the show. West is even held in such high regards that SNL producers allowed him in a rare third performance segment in that particular episode. But they were shocked when instead of playing a song, he made an entire speech praising President Trump while wearing one of his mega hats. NBC cut the speech short for viewers, and the outburst was not received well by the live audience members. Not long after, West claimed on Twitter that SNL producer Lorne Michaels had asked him to return to, quote, "host before the year is out." But according to Radar Online, Kanye was actually banned instead, and the latter seems a lot more likely to me. In at number 7, David Bowie. In 1997, David Bowie was banned, and from what happened, he totally deserved it. Basically, he was asked to be the musical guest, and he was gonna act in a sketch too, but they made a sketch where Bowie would sing parodies of his own songs. Bowie told Post, quote, "One of the things they came up with was a version of my song, Watch That Man, but instead in the chorus I would sing Try Our Flan." Apparently the writers and Bowie fought over the pronunciation of the word flan though. Flan? I could be messing it up right now. And literally during the broadcast, Bowie said he wasn't gonna do the skit anymore, and he wanted to change the song he was performing. Instead of performing, quote, "Telling Lies" as rehearsed, Bowie played his 1980 track Scary Monsters and Super Creeps. And the reason is really awful. Apparently Lorne Michaels told Bowie that the song reminded him of a very dark time in his life, and I guess the reason Bowie played it was out of spite. Apparently, as soon as the song was over, Bowie claimed he was escorted from the building and banned from SNL. However, in late 1999, he was back as a musical guest after apparently smoothing things over with Michaels, saying, quote, "We're mates. He knows now that I was just trying to get a rise out of him." And at number 6, Martin Lawrence. Martin Lawrence's monologue on SNL was so bad that a section of it was actually removed from the live broadcast because the network wouldn't let it air. And if you're wondering what kind of stuff is so bad it won't get aired on television, well, his monologue was talking about genital hygiene of intimate areas, specifically of female intimate areas. And the whole thing was just really crass and explicit. When the episode aired later that night for West Coast viewers, NBC cut out the portion of the monologue and replaced it with text explaining the gist of Lawrence's commentary and how, quote, network policy prevents any rebroadcasting of that routine. The rest of the show went on as usual, but Lawrence was obviously banned from the show right after. Halfway number 5, Cypress Hill. The group Cypress Hill was known for a lot of things back in the day. One in particular was their love of smoking weed. And apparently even though they were told not to touch the substance the night they were on the show, they of course did. Member DJ Muggs said he, quote, felt like he needed to make a statement with his performance, and that came in the form of him smoking on live TV. And this was back in 1993 when TV was a whole lot different than it is now. Muggs asked Sen Dog to light the joint, but he refused, so Muggs just did it himself. The group claims that the SNL cast came up to them right after and told them how cool they thought the stunt was, but obviously this is live TV people, and the network was not happy, resulting in a lifelong ban from the show. And at number 4, The Replacements. The band and their replacements made fools out of themselves during their performance on SNL, and that was because the band was totally sloshed while performing. Apparently it was a pre-show ritual for them to drink before performing, but SNL has a dry set, so they don't allow alcohol beforehand. Apparently the band got around this by having their sound guy sneak in booze after a pre-show sound check, and by the time they went on, they were hammered. And it was very easy to tell from the footage of the performance. The lead singer wandered away from the mic, the bassist was stumbling, and the guitarist was late to start his solo. So the lead singer actually yelled kind of into the mic, "Come on, effer," to cue him, which was picked up by the mic. And just when it couldn't get any worse, one of the guys ripped their pants at the very end with their rear end out for the world to see. The guys even trashed their hotel room after, that was paid for by SNL. So, I mean, yeah, obviously they were banned after that. That's like 4 strikes against them. In at number 3, Frank Zappa. Frank Zappa was a special type of musician that often infused humor into his music, which made him a great fit for Saturday Night Live, where he was asked to host and be the musical guest in October of 1978. But his performance was so bad, SNL writer and performer Don Novello called it, quote, "one of the worst ever." Apparently the final dress rehearsal before the show went so bad that Zappa tried to change his entire approach to the show, but he didn't tell anyone else. And apparently his strategy was to somewhat make fun of the show itself and made the audience aware when things were scripted, with someone from the cast saying, quote, "he read the cue cards like he was reading the cards, like he made a point of it." That was his approach to the humor. No one else in the sketches knew it. SNL producer Lorne Michaels did not like the unapproved take on their material and never let him come back. And at number 2, Elvis Costello. Elvis Costello broke one of the major rules of SNL, and that is going against Lorne Michaels. And he paid the price by getting banned. A December 1977 episode featured Elvis Costello as the musical guest, and he played Watching the Detectives in his first slot. Then in his second slot, he started playing Less Than Zero, but then decided to change his mind midway through the song. He told the band to stop playing and told the audience, quote, "I'm sorry ladies and gentlemen, there's no reason to do this song here." He then decided to play Radio Radio, which is one song he was told not to play because of how critical of mass media the song is. And because he stopped the show and changed the song, he was banned. However, it wasn't lifelong, and Michaels let him back in 1989. And even joked about getting banned on SNL's 25th anniversary show, so it seems like it all ended well. And finally, number 1, Andy Kaufman. This is a crazy one because Andy got himself banned. So the situation here was that he was put on the show back in 1975 and he managed to gain an audience off of the show. So SNL had him back many times over the years, with him appearing 10 times in the late 70s and early 80s. But one of his bits went south when it had lifelong consequences. Basically, in one skit, he told an SNL producer to read a statement on air in 1982 explaining that Kaufman's scheduled appearance had been cancelled because, quote, "Andy Kaufman is not funny anymore." Then the viewers were told to decide Andy's fate, with them able to vote on if he would be banned from the show or not. And sadly for Andy, they voted to ban him for life. The self-imposed ban was never lifted, and he never performed again until he passed away in 1984. And at number 10, Travis Scott. Travis has faced a lot of backlash in the past, as we've come to learn, between the offensive things that he said and his conduct during his concerts, and because of this, Travis very well could be blacklisted from performing at the Super Bowl. We have of course heard about what happened at Travis Scott's Astroworld concert last year. The rapper's performance ended in tragedy as the chaos that ensued during the concert left multiple people passed away and hundreds injured. 10 people lost their lives due to the events that unfolded, and many others are still recovering from their injuries, as well as the families of those affected still trying to cope with everything. There's a lot of footage circling the internet showing what happened that night, and the madness that occurred during the performance, with people showing the crowds of people and even some fans yelling to stop the show. After the incident, we found out that the Houston police chief actually warned Travis about crowd control prior to the event, expressing his concerns for public safety at the event. After people found this out, Travis started facing even more backlash, as fans said that if he really listened to this warning, these casualties could have been avoided. The NFL certainly wouldn't want to take a chance on Travis after this tragic incident. And at number 9, Kanye West. Kanye West isn't the nicest guy out there, and I think we all know that by now. Whether it's on stage or on Twitter, I'm sure we've seen Kanye West being pretty mean and offensive on multiple occasions. Remember the VMA incident where he stole Taylor Swift's spotlight after winning her award? We also have to mention his tweets as well. He's very outspoken online and has a tendency to offend people a lot. From his claims about Bill Cosby being an innocent man following his allegations, as well as his tweets bashing his own family members, Kanye doesn't hold back on this and has rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, making them hate him. Because of all the backlash that he's faced as well as his unpredictable nature, the NFL probably will have him banned so as not to risk the success of their halftime show. In at number 8, Marilyn Manson. Marilyn Manson is known for his alt metal music and unique style, but he's also someone that a lot of people have come to hate. Actress Evan Rachel Wood came out earlier last year to name the singer as the person who inflicted harm upon her, accusing him of manipulating and brainwashing her from a young age. The actress posted a testimony to her Instagram calling Manson, as well as the industry, out for his actions and for enabling him all this time. In the past, Evan Rachel Wood has spoken out about the fact that she was in a toxic relationship and has detailed some of the horrifying things that she experienced, but she never named him until that time. In a published testimony, she said, quote, "He broke me down through means of starvation, sleep deprivation, and threats against my life, sometimes with weapons, which would result in me having severe panic attacks where I was unable to breathe or stop shaking." She also said that he had her phone tapped and had threats made against her loved ones. Manson has lost all credibility in the industry as well as in general public, so as a result I wouldn't be surprised if he never held another live performance again, especially not at the Super Bowl. In at number 7, Sinead O'Connor. In October of 1992, Sinead O'Connor caused some controversy during her guest spot on SNL. She was brought on the show to be its musical guest, and already people were a little confused by her as she refused to sing one of her songs from her recent album at the time. She instead opted to sing an a cappella version of Bob Marley's song War. It was an intense performance, and she even changed some of the lyrics to specifically mention young people. As the song came to an end and she was wrapping up her performance, she pulled out a photo of Pope John Paul II and tore it up, saying, quote, "Fight the real enemy." Sinead's actions caused a huge stir. After her performance, NBC started receiving thousands of angry calls over the following days, and even some celebrities came forward to criticize Sinead's actions. There have already been many scandals in the past when it comes to the halftime show, and the network has been known to get many complaints, so they probably don't want to hire Sinead to perform, even if she was a guest. Because of her past controversies, they probably banned Sinead from performing at the Super Bowl. And at number 6, DaBaby. Last year, rapper DaBaby caused a big uproar in the LGBT+ community. He got into quite the controversy after he said some pretty offensive things while on stage performing at Rolling Loud in Miami. While on the stage, the rapper made offensive comments about the gay community, as well as HIV and AIDS, calling it a, quote, "deadly sexually transmitted disease that'll make you die in 2-3 weeks. He also went on to say some more homophobic things about gay men that also added fuel to the fire. This was a huge scandal at the time, and so because of that and the nature of the comments he made, the people who organized the Super Bowl probably won't want to have the rapper perform at the halftime show, and they have him banned. Maybe not forever, but certainly for now. Halfway number 5, Akon. Rapper Akon once got so mad at a fan that he threw him off stage. And I don't mean he was escorted, I mean he literally picked someone up and threw them. The whole incident went down in 2007 at one of his performances at the Duchess Stadium. A 15-year-old fan threw an object at Akon from the audience, and this really made him mad. He had people bring the kid up on stage just for Akon to pick him up and chuck him off it. As a result of the incident, Akon was given a $350 fine and was ordered to complete 65 hours of community service. This kind of behavior definitely wouldn't be tolerated at the Super Bowl. The NFL might think that Akon could react in a similar way if something went wrong, and Akon snapped again, and they probably don't want to risk another meltdown. He probably won't be invited to perform at the big game. And at number 4, Billie Joe Armstrong. In 2012, Green Day was performing at the iHeartRadio Music Festival, and things got heated. According to the band's frontrunner, Billie Joe Armstrong, the show's producers had allegedly cut the band's set time down from 45 minutes to just 25. This obviously didn't sit right with him, and as he watched the timer count down as he and the band performed, that just made him angry to the point where he sort of threw a tantrum when the band was down to its last minute of set time. Billy kept shouting, "1 minute left," over and over again, and went on to say that he's been around since '88, hinting that since he's been around for so long, he deserves respect. Then in a fit of rage, he took his guitar by the neck and began smashing it on the stage until it broke. He then threw his mic and stormed off stage. Much like Akon's on-stage meltdown, the NFL probably wouldn't want to risk something bad happening on stage, and so the Green Day frontrunner could be on the list of banned celebrities. And at number 3, Janet Jackson. The Super Bowl halftime show is one moment a year that millions of people tune in to watch at the same time. People turn off their reality TV programs and reruns of Jeopardy to grab a snack and watch the year's biggest performance. Well, during the 2004 Super Bowl halftime show, viewers watched a serious wardrobe malfunction happen that was life-changing to say the least. Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake were performing together when a move went wrong, and Janet's breasts ended up being exposed. Following the incident, the media dubbed Nipplegate, the FCC sued CBS for the live incident in a $550,000 lawsuit citing indecent exposure for their cause. Janet Jackson was put through the ringer for her part in the whole scandal. As a result, she was uninvited to the Grammy Awards that year, and her songs were blacklisted from the radio. Even the next few albums she released following the incident was met with negative reviews because of the scandal. After this huge scandal, Janet faced some pretty big setbacks, and many people thought that she was permanently banned from the Super Bowl. This could be true, but since it's been so many years, we really can't know for sure. And at number 2, 50 Cent. Back in 2016, rapper 50 Cent got in some trouble while in the Caribbean after saying some colorful language on stage at one of his concerts. It all happened during one of his performances while in St. Kitts. In St. Kitts, the use of profanity in public is illegal, and so when it came to his concert, he was told that he had to refrain from using any adult language while on stage. But during one of his songs, he mistakenly said the word mother effer in front of the audience of 40,000 people, and it was a huge no-no. He was allowed to finish the rest of his set, but he was promptly arrested after the show. In his defense, 50 Cent said that he didn't have a clean version of the song and he forgot to move his mic away from his mouth when he said the word. Because the halftime show was broadcast live, the networks want to make sure that the show is somewhat family friendly, and since 50 Cent has been in a scandal for using profanity in public before, he could be banned from performing just to be on the safe side. And finally, at number 1, the Red Hot Chili Peppers. The Super Bowl seems to be pretty good at creating scandals. Whether it's related to the game itself or the halftime show, there's bound to be some kind of trending moment during the event. And in 2014, there was a scandalous moment during the halftime performance by the band the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Even though during their performance it looked like everyone was jamming out hardcore and having a good time, it turns out that was all pretty much fake. The band was exposed after it was revealed that they performed with their instruments unplugged and pre-recorded setlists playing over them. After they got exposed, they explained that they pre-recorded their performance as to ensure that nothing went wrong, but somehow, even with those precautions, they still ended up in a bit of hot water with fans. Now they could be banned after this scandal. Though it wasn't major, the backlash was still there and fans might not want to tune in again to see another performance flop, and obviously the NFL doesn't want to see that, so they wouldn't let them back. And at number 10, Donald Trump. Donald Trump attended the Met Gala numerous times with his wife Melania in the past, because New York socialites and even political figures are often invited to the Met. However, after he became president and enacted very controversial laws, he was banned from ever attending again. Many rumored he might be banned after many controversial statements, but this is one of the few people that Anna Wintour herself actually confirmed will not be invited back. And if you didn't already know, Wintour has been the editor-in-chief of Vogue since 1988, and she handpicks every person who is invited to the Met Ball. When Anna was asked during a segment of James Corden's Fill Your Guts or Spill Your Guts who she would never invite back to the Met again, she swiftly replied, Donald Trump. And at number 9, Kim Kardashian. These days it's hard to imagine a Met Gala without Kim Kardashian. When Kim was just known as a reality star back in the day, Anna revealed that she would not be inviting her to the Met. Apparently in 2012, Anna was adamant about not inviting Kim to keep the prestige of the event. A source even told Page 6 that, quote, Anna hates Kim. However, that all changed in 2013 when Kanye brought a pregnant Kim Kardashian to the Met Gala as his guest, which is something that Anna could not refuse. Since then, Kim has become a staple in high fashion and elevated her brand to be one of the most influential people in the world. And these days, the fashion world cannot ignore the Kardashian influence, and multiple Kardashian sisters are invited to the Met each year. And at number 8, Tim Gunn. Tim Gunn is incredibly well known in the fashion world and is somewhat of a staple on fashion television, as he starred in shows like Making the Cut and Project Runway. But even though he is fashion royalty, he said the wrong thing about Anna Wintour and has paid the price with his invite being permanently revoked. In 2006, Gunn was asked to recall the most unforgettable thing he's seen in fashion by the New York Post, and he answered, quote, watching Anna Wintour being carried down 5 flights of stairs by 2 bodyguards from a fashion show. Anna didn't like these comments, so Vogue asked for a retraction, but he refused, and his invite was taken as a result. He's claimed that he's been in a war with Anna and her team ever since. And at number 7, Khloe Kardashian. Most of the Kardashians get invited to the Met every year, with Kim, Kendall, and Kylie being staples at the event. Even Kris Jenner gets invited most of the time. However, neither Kourtney or Khloe have ever attended a Met Ball. Apparently that's because Khloe is banned, and Kourtney has never been relevant enough to grace the very A-list event. But it was rumored that Kourtney and her boyfriend Travis Barker were actually invited to the esteemed event this year, which would have been Kourtney's first Met, but Kourtney decided not to go for the sake of Khloe. A source said, quote, Khloe and Kourtney have never been invited to the Met Gala, but Kourtney was invited to this one and chose to stay home with Khloe because she didn't want to leave her alone. Another part of this is that the Met is known to be Kim's event, and she prefers that her sisters do not go so she can shine solo. If you're wondering why Khloe gets the cold shoulder, apparently she's too C-list for the event. And at number 6, Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj went viral on the night of the Met because she tweeted that she didn't attend the event because of the vaccine requirement. She tweeted during the event, quote, they want you to get vaccinated for the Met. If I get vaccinated, it won't be for the Met. It'll be once I feel that I've done enough research. I'm working on that now. In the meantime, my loves, be safe, wear the mask with 2 strings that grips your head and face, not that loose one. She added in a follow-up tweet that her cousin in Trinidad won't get it because his friend got the vaccine and became impotent after, finishing quote, "So just pray on it and make sure you're comfortable with your decision, not bullied." And I can assume that after calling out the event for their mandate, she will not be asked back. Halfway at number 5, Coco Rocha. Coco Rocha is one of the most well-known models ever, so it's strange that she never attends the Met anymore. But apparently Katy Perry is the reason that she's been blacklisted. In 2017, Katy Perry was one of the co-chairs of the event, which means she has an elevated role in the event and even has a hand in the guest list. The feud between these ladies actually happened years before in 2013 at the MTV VMAs when Katy wore the exact same Emmanuel Ungaro dress that Coco had worn to that year's Met Gala a few months before. After Perry wore the dress, Coco joked about it in an interview in a way that Perry found offensive, so they've been on bad terms ever since. When asked about why she wouldn't be attending the Met Gala back in 2017, Coco Rocha told the Post, quote, "I don't know, you'll have to ask Anna Wintour that." In at number 4, Tina Fey. Tina Fey is hilarious, and she's well known for poking fun at her own celebrity and not taking herself too seriously, which aren't things that go well at the Met. After she attended the Met, she shared her experience with David Letterman in 2015. When asked if she had gone, she responded that she had, and that it was quote, "such a jerk parade," adding quote, "Every jerk from every walk of life is there, wearing like some stupid thing. I dragged my husband along with me, which I'm still in trouble for." But she didn't stop there. She added later, quote, "If you had a million arms, all the people you'd want to punch are there." And it seems that after those comments she knew she would not be invited back, and she added, quote, "Clearly I'll never go again." And at number 3, Josh Hartnett. Banned is probably a pretty strong word for the treatment of Josh Hartnett. A better term would be not relevant enough to attend. And there are tons of celebrities that are not famous enough to attend because fame is always changing based on whatever project celebrity has been a part of. The biggest sting against Josh specifically is that he was shown in a documentary about the Met called The First Monday in May, wherein Calvin Klein's team called up Vogue to request a seat for Hartnett, and they harshly responded, quote, "What has he done lately? Nothing. You guys are all set." Based on this response, it's clear that he's not banned for life, more so temporarily banned until he gets cast in something noteworthy. And at number 2, Amy Schumer. Amy Schumer is another celebrity that's made a name for herself by making fun of everything. But of course, making fun of the Met is gonna have some consequences. In 2016, Amy Schumer was asked about the event while on the Howard Stern show, and she said, quote, "It's people doing an impression of having a conversation. I don't like the farce. We're all dressed up like a bunch of effing a-holes." Adding, quote, "I have no interest in fashion, I don't care. I left earlier than I should have been allowed. I got to meet Beyonce, and she was like, is this your first Met Gala? And I was like, it's my last." So again, Amy was self-aware that she either would not be invited back, or she knew she just wouldn't attend again even if she was invited. And finally, number 1, Demi Lovato. Demi has only been to the Met Gala once, and it seems that one time might be their last, either because they won't be invited back, or Demi just won't want to go. Demi spoke about their time at the gala with Billboard and said it was a horrible experience, saying, quote, "I had a terrible experience. This one celebrity was a complete bitch and was miserable to be around. It was very cliquey. I remember being so uncomfortable that I wanted to drink." This was very shocking because this was around the time that Demi was trying to get sober, and apparently the Met set her back off course. Demi added that they went straight to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting after the Met, saying, quote, "I changed my clothes, but I still had my diamonds on. Millions of dollars of diamonds on an AA meeting." There was also a big scandal involving Nicki Minaj that followed the event. Nicki didn't tag Demi in a photo of them after the ball, to which Demi called her out for. This started another war, making the night even more awful for Demi than it was before. In at number 10, Kanye West. Kanye West and Coachella have a difficult history. In early 2022, when Kanye got in a feud with Trevor Noah, a petition was started demanding that Kanye be banned from performing at Coachella in the future. The petition was launched March 17th and racked up more than 29,000 signatures, calling for Kanye to be removed from the festival's lineup. The description of the petition states, quote, "No one seems to want to stand up to him, Kanye, and the ones that do, he puts under fire as well. Coachella should be ashamed of themselves and should not be giving him any more of a platform. Please sign and share." Although Coachella did not give in to this petition, Kanye did not end up performing at the festival, as he decided to drop out just 2 weeks before the occasion. A source told E! that West dropped out to, quote, "focus on himself." The festival was adding too much pressure to him amid his Kim Kardashian divorce. Since Kanye left them hanging last minute, it makes sense they would not call on him to headline ever again. In at number 9, Travis Scott. After the Astroworld Festival tragedy took the lives of over 10 Travis Scott fans, many festivals were reconsidering having Scott on their roster. One of the most talked about festivals was Coachella, where Scott was set to perform later that year.
However, after Astroworld, many petitions popped up asking the festival to cut him from their lineup. The most popular Change.org petition racked up over 60,000 signatures in a matter of days. In the weeks that followed, Coachella officially announced that they dropped him as a performer. According to Variety, Coachella told the rapper's agent, Cara Lewis, that it intended to remove him from the lineup and would pay a fee to have him no longer perform, since at the time controversy surrounding the rapper was too much for the festival to take on, specifically since safety and security are the most important aspects of any festival. And at number 8, Radiohead. The band Radiohead did the unthinkable and walked off the Coachella stage during their performance after the performance was plagued with issues. The band headlined the 2017 show, but during the performance the band experienced tons of issues with the sound. First, the sound went out during a performance of their song 15 Step, and it was so bad they decided to leave the stage to regroup. When they eventually came back, they started to play the song Let Down, but they were forced to walk off stage yet again after the sound cut out. When the band returned, frontman Tom York addressed the issue. Billboard reported, quote, asking the crowd, "Can you actually hear me?" He then added, quote, "I'd like to tell a joke to lighten the mood, but we're Radiohead, so F that." The band ended up playing the rest of the 2-hour set with minor interruptions, but the fans were outraged with Coachella for not fixing the sound issues immediately. Since the band made this festival look bad, there's a high chance they won't be asked back. In at number 7, Sly Stone. The funk legend performed at the 2010 Coachella Festival, but the performance was overshadowed by a strange rant from the singer. In the end, LA Weekly called the performance a, quote, sad spectacle. The singer was reportedly homeless less than a year before his Coachella performance that was supposed to be his big comeback, but it was a complete disaster. During this performance, Stone cut his songs short, asked how long he had to stay on stage to get paid, and went on a rant about his former manager Jerry Goldstein. The rant against Goldstein was so bad that the manager ended up suing Stone for slander because Stone claimed it, quote, implied he was a thief. Stone then countersued Goldstein as well as an entertainment attorney for diverting royalties owed to him, and he actually won $5 million in 2015. Even though he ended up winning this dispute, the spectacle caused long-term damage to his reputation and Coachella for hosting the disaster. And at number 6, The Cure. In 2009, while The Cure was performing at Coachella, the band went way over time. It was so bad that the festival was forced to pull the plug. Midnight is the usual cutoff point for the festival. When The Cure was on stage, they decided they did not want to follow this rule. Instead, they refused to stop playing and thought they would be able to carry on for their fans. But it's not that simple. Coachella is so strict about their midnight cutoff point that they decided to pull the plug on the band so their set would end. While the band was performing the song Boys Don't Cry, the festival pulled the plug on the instruments. Then they blasted field lights all over the crowd to let them know it was time to go. Reportedly, the band still kept playing and some fans rushed to the front of the crowd to hear the final notes of the song unplugged. But clearly after breaking the rules, the band is not allowed back. Halfway number 5, CeeLo Green. CeeLo Green appeared at the 2011 Coachella Festival, but his behavior left a lot of fans frustrated. First, he showed up about 30 minutes late to the set, which led to many fans booing him and even deciding to leave. When he did finally show up, he only had 20 minutes left for his set. Instead of taking accountability, he decided to blame his lateness on the festival. He came to the stage and said, quote, "Sorry guys, I just landed. Y'all still gonna party with me? I only have 20 minutes. It ain't my fault. They should have given me a better time slot." He only played 5 songs before the sound was cut and he walked off stage. At first, when the music stopped, his band seemed shocked, but then CeeLo walked off as he was booed. All in all, it was a disastrous performance and he was not asked back. And at number 4, Louis Tomlinson. Louis got in some hot water when he decided to call out the festival for not having enough bands. When the 2018 lineup was announced, the singer took to Twitter and asked, quote, "Where the F are all the bands? It's a festival." That year, all 3 headliners were solo acts, which clearly did not sit well with the singer, who rose to fame through his boy band One Direction. In the end, tons of people on Twitter commented back that there were a lot of bands on the list, so his criticism was not really accurate. Nothing more was ever really said about it after the fact, but I'm sure the festival did not like being called out like that. And at number 3, Kelly Berglund. Disney actress Kelly Berglund was arrested at the 2016 Coachella Festival for trying to use a fake ID. The 20-year-old star apparently tried to meet up with some of her friends in a 21+ area. When she tried to use the fake, she was caught by police. She was then arrested, slapped with a citation, and got her mugshot taken. But she was quickly sent back to the festival where she got to enjoy the rest of the weekend. She was spotted at the Paper Magazine party the next night, so clearly she still had a good time. And at number 2, Gerard Butler. In 2012, Gerard Butler was one of the most talked about celebrities at Coachella, because the actor was accused of hooking up with a random woman in a porta potty at the festival. At the time, Butler was fresh out of rehab for his substance issues, however he was apparently not shy at all around the women. One source told Perez Hilton that Butler and a brunette woman were, quote, grinding like they were at a middle school dance and getting very handsy. Then all of a sudden the pair made their way to a porta potty. Then after a while the pair came back out and joined the festival once again. The source continued that he, quote, didn't seem to care who was watching. And finally, number 1, Justin Bieber. While Justin Bieber was in his rebellious era in 2015, he started a scene at Coachella. While Drake was on stage performing, Bieber tried to get into a VIP area of the stage, but that area happened to be at full capacity. When security told Justin he was not allowed in because of this capacity issue, he threw a fit and started screaming at the guards. Bieber yelled that he was invited by Drake himself and refused to leave. That's when a security guard grabbed Justin and put him in a chokehold. Then after that altercation, Justin left. E! News also reported that year that Bieber, quote, caused an enormous scene and threw a fit when Kendall Jenner wasn't allowed into a party because she was too young. All in all, it's clear that Justin was very entitled at this time, and I'm sure he got a stern warning from Coachella that his behavior would not be allowed at the festival. And at number 10, Rick Ross. James Corden is well known for his Fill Your Guts or Spill Your Guts segment, where he and his celebrity guest expose secrets about themselves, or they have to eat something nasty. While Corden was playing this game with Demi Moore in 2019, she asked him to name a celebrity that had disappointed him, to which Corden replied, Rick Ross. Apparently before Ross came on, Corden had the idea to do a musical spoof around his song Hustlin', asking if Ross would be open to singing it for the bit. Corden continued that they got all the approvals and everything was running smoothly leading up to the show, but when the day of the show arrived and they did a practice run of the bit, Ross apparently pulled his people aside and told him that he would not be doing that. Obviously that put a huge wrench into things, but Corden did admit the bit sounded pretty dumb. And at number 9, Britney Spears. Britney Spears is an icon, so you'd think her carpool karaoke segment would go off without a hitch, but when the episode came out, fans weren't too impressed and Britney did not get rave reviews. Britney later came out and revealed the show did not go well because she felt very uncomfortable the whole time. She said, quote, it was a little awkward, like driving by grocery stores, people walk by and there are like 18 cameras around us, so it's just awkward. Apparently he also replayed some of her songs while taping, and she didn't like that and told him to change it. When asked which songs Corden repeatedly played, Britney mentioned Baby One More Time and Oops I Did It Again. She even said, he put a damn wig on for it. After a review like that, I'm sure there will not be another episode with Britney. And at number 8, Pierce Brosnan. Corden exposed a celebrity in yet another segment of Fill Your Guts or Spill Your Guts. While he had Khloe Kardashian on the show in 2017, Khloe asked Corden to name a celebrity that had been rude to him in the past. After a lot of debating, Corden admitted that it was Pierce Brosnan. Corden continued that he doesn't think Brosnan is a rude person, it was just a bad encounter. Corden described that he was at a U2 concert with his wife and some friends, and when a spot opened up in front of them during the concert, the group decided to snag the closer spot. Then Corden says, quote, so me and my wife moved into this area, and literally I've never felt anything like it. This arm went on mine and just pushed me out of the way. And I looked at him and he didn't even glance at me. He just moved back into his area, just like that. Not only will Brosnan not be doing karaoke, he most likely won't be showing up again in general. And at number 7, One Direction. After the group did a carpool karaoke segment, it was widely regarded as a train wreck. One of the main criticisms with this episode is that there was too much singing and not enough talking or joking around, which is what the fans really want to see. The episode got more backlash weeks later when the show posted a clip of the group going to McDonald's during their karaoke segment. After this, One Direction fans were dying to see the full footage, but instead of that, the teaser clip was deleted. After this mistake, the Directioners came for the show and accused the show of duping the fans. One tweet read, quote, James Corden is once again proof all men do is lie. After all that, I think Corden would rather not deal with their crazy fan base again. And at number 6, Katy Perry. Katy Perry's episode of Carpool Karaoke was another that was not received well by fans. This time it was due to Perry's bad attitude. The first slightly annoying thing is that she kept correcting James when he would get the smallest word wrong while singing one of her songs. Katy then spent a portion of the episode dishing out details of her beef with Taylor Swift, and although people loved that she was finally addressing the drama, many didn't like that the negative energy surrounding their drama was brought into the lighthearted skit. Halfway at number 5, Mariah Carey. One thing that everyone knows about Mariah Carey is that she's not gonna do what she doesn't want to do. And if she feels that something is uncomfortable or awkward, you're gonna know it. So when Mariah signed up to be on one of the first ever episodes of Carpool Karaoke, it was a little awkward. From the beginning of the segment, Mariah Carey seems unhappy and a little annoyed, like she doesn't want to be there. It also didn't seem like she knew her songs were the ones that were going to be played, and she wasn't sure exactly what she should be doing. And even though it was a bit cringy at times, we do have to remember this was one of the first episodes, so both parties were still working out the kinks. And at number 4, Selena Gomez. This is one of the carpool karaokes that was roasted online afterwards. The segment was hilarious and featured Selena and James going down a roller coaster as well as going to McDonald's. But the singing was not on point, and people savagely roasted Selena for the way she was singing, along with the fact that she could hardly sing her own songs, specifically mocking the way that she was moving her hands while singing, and looked like she could hardly belt out the words. And at number 3, Liam Gallagher. Carpool karaoke is one of the most popular late night segments of all time, so you'd assume that any singer would jump at the chance to be on the show. That was not the case for the lead singer of Oasis, Liam Gallagher, and he has made a point to never be on the show. He addressed it in an interview with GQ. When asked if he would appear in the segment, Gallagher replied, quote, "No thank you very much. No effing chance, mate." He also added that, quote, "James Corden is a knobhead," clearly confirming that Corden is the issue. But since we've covered numerous times on the channel that Corden is known to be rude, really isn't much of a shocker. When Corden was asked about the comments, he replied sarcastically, quote, "I don't know how we'll even think of carrying on." And at number 2, Ellen DeGeneres. Ellen DeGeneres is known as the dancing queen of television, and she always makes a point to dance with her audience in the beginning of her show. So you'd think that having Ellen on carpool karaoke wouldn't be that much of a long shot because she loves to perform. But that won't be happening anytime soon, because Ellen and James Corden have been feuding for years, mainly because Corden is trying to take her spot. Apparently after Ellen came under fire in 2020 and her show was potentially up for grabs, Corden was the person primed to take over the coveted spot. The chairman of NBC is apparently a huge fan of Corden's, so he's been waiting for an opportunity for Corden to join the network. Ellen decided to come back to her show for one more season, and she will be retiring at the end of this season, but there's clearly still bad blood. And finally, number 1, Eric Andre. While Ellen was going through her scandal and the public was weighing the potential options of who would replace her, Eric Andre's name was thrown into the ring. Many felt he would be a great replacement since he is so lighthearted and fun. But at that point, it looked like James Corden was the person most likely to get the gig. Eric Andre addressed these rumors and savagely revealed his true thoughts about Corden. He revealed that he didn't think Ellen should be cancelled for being mean in the first place. He then added that James Corden is if not being nice gets you cancelled, obviously insinuating that James Corden was not nice and would have a similar fate as Ellen, because she was getting cancelled for being mean. And at number 10, Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf was quietly cut by Netflix after his ex-girlfriend FK Twigs made allegations against him that he was harmful to her both mentally and physically during their relationship. This all took place right as LaBeouf's film with Netflix, Pieces of a Woman, was set to be released on January 7th. But Netflix is taking a firm stance of support for FK Twigs and the other women who have spoken out by distancing themselves from Shia and removing his name from their awards consideration campaign. LaBeouf is due to appear alongside Vanessa Kirby in Pieces of a Woman, with the pair playing a couple who lose their first child in a home birth. The film focuses on Kirby's Martha as she grieves and tries to repair her relationship with LaBeouf's Sean and her mother. The movie so far is getting tons of award season hype, already coming out strong at the Venice Film Festival, where the lead actress scored a Best Actress award, and the film was up for Movie of the Year. And this means that Netflix knows they need to publicly cut the actor, but they want the film to do well at festivals, so for now they're just gonna cut him from the awards nominations, and we're assuming after this they won't work with him again. And also make sure to like if you're liking the video so far. And at number 9, Steven Spielberg. The legendary director has made his firm stance against Netflix very clear, and he's outspoken that the streaming platform is ruining the movie industry. Spielberg has been outspoken about his desire to keep Netflix from taking home the big trophies at award shows. After the Oscars, he came out saying that Netflix productions aren't actual movies, and because of this, they shouldn't be considered in major categories. And he's doing whatever he can to make this the case, as he's working with the Academy to ensure all films nominated for future awards have had theatrical runs, making it impossible for the streaming service to win. However, now that Warner Bros. Has made the shocking move to have all their movies released exclusively on streaming services in the new year, this rule definitely will not be put into place. And at number 8, Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan is another director firmly against Netflix and streaming services in general. According to GQ, Nolan questions the streaming-only model for failing to try and enter the theatrical area. Nolan believes that the concept of streaming movies takes away from the experience and theatrics of it all, adding that a movie will never feel as lifelike or look as good on a laptop screen, and I guess he does have a point there.
For his latest film Tenet, it will obviously not be on streaming services, only pay-per-view. The film was one of the only major releases during the coronavirus, and it might have been a mistake, as the film vastly underperformed and only brought in $29.5 million in its first 2 weeks, although it performed much better overseas. So it seems like he might be forced to change his tune about streaming services soon. And at number 7, Kevin Spacey. Back in 2017, in light of allegations against Spacey, Netflix acted quickly to cut ties with the star, which included booting him off of the Netflix original House of Cards, which was one of the service's most successful shows at the time. A statement on the matter read, quote, "Netflix will not be involved in any further production of House of Cards that includes Kevin Spacey. We will continue to work with MRC during this hiatus time to evaluate our path forward as it relates to the show," MRC referring to the production company. The spokesperson also said that Netflix will not be moving forward with the release of the film Gore, which starred and was produced by Spacey and which was in post-production. And honestly, it was nice to see a big company doing the right thing for once. And obviously, they will never work with him again, but sadly, they did keep his old material on the platform for some reason. Not sure why their stance was like only halfway on that one. And at number 6, Avatar: The Last Airbender creators. The Avatar series gained a second life when it started streaming on Netflix, but the relationship turned sour quickly, with the co-creators of the popular cartoon series cutting ties with Netflix. Producers of the original show announced their departure online, with DiMartino writing in his statement, quote, "Many of you have been asking me for updates about the Avatar live-action Netflix series. I can finally tell you that I'm no longer involved with the project. In June of this year, after 2 years of developmental work, Brian Konzenko and I made the difficult decision to leave the production," adding that the reason they left was because they were not given the creative freedom they needed to guide the show that they saw fit. Adding, quote, "Though Netflix promised to support their vision, there was no follow-through on that promise." Netflix later made a statement that they were going forward with the show without the men. Halfway number 5, Marvel. Netflix axed Marvel's The Punisher and Jessica Jones after announcing they had already scrapped other Marvel projects that were in development with the streaming service. All the cancellations marked the end of Marvel's partnership with Netflix. However, that was the plan all along, as the public would later learn that Disney would be starting its own streaming service with Marvel projects on its roster, called Disney+. In a statement on the matter, Netflix said, quote, "We are grateful to Marvel for 5 years of our fruitful partnership and thank the passionate fans who have followed these series from the beginning." Marvel's TV head Jeff Lubb also made a statement, quote, "Our network partner may have decided they no longer want to continue telling the tales of these great characters, but you know Marvel better than that. As Matthew Murdock's dad once said, the measure of a man is not how he gets knocked to the mat, it's how he gets back up. To be continued." And it's strange in that statement he made it seem like Netflix's decision, when we know they wanted their products off of Netflix to put on Disney+. And of course, after Disney Plus's launch, all Disney products were taken off the platform and will never be returning. In at number 4, Louis C.K. Louis C.K. is another actor who saw backlash from Netflix after accusations of inappropriate conduct came out against him. This came in the form of the streaming service halting the production of his second stand-up special with them. A Netflix spokesperson said, quote, "The allegations made by several women in the New York Times about Louis C.K.'s behavior are disturbing. Louis' unprofessional and inappropriate behavior with female colleagues has led us to decide not to produce a second stand-up special, as had been planned." The streaming service still has his old comedy specials up for some reason, but they definitely will not be working with him ever again. In at number 3, The Weinstein Company. Netflix decided to cut ties with The Weinstein Company after allegations against Harvey Weinstein came to light. The decision was made in court, where Netflix won approval from a US bankruptcy court to end its deal with the Weinstein Company. Before that, Netflix was in a long-term contract with the Weinstein Company that would bring its new movies onto Netflix. But not everything was taken off. According to Deadline, Netflix decided to keep Spy Kids series as part of the negotiations, as well as the hit show Peaky Blinders after they withheld payment of licensing fees, according to the report. This is licensing from the Weinstein Company to the company's new owners, Lantern Entertainment. And at number 2, Johnny Depp. This one is extremely unfortunate, but Netflix very recently removed all films starring Johnny Depp from their catalog. However, there was no statement made about the removal, probably because they know there will be backlash from Johnny Depp fans. But fans noticed when they were no longer finding movies from him on the platform. It's assumed that the removal took place after Depp lost his high-profile libel case in the UK last month, with the loss for Johnny allowing news publications to call him a wife-beater. Of course, related to allegations from his ex-wife Amber Heard. But Johnny Depp fans are not happy and are considering boycotting the service to show their support for the actor. One fan wrote online, quote, "Netflix has movies by Mel Gibson, Sean Penn, Amber Heard, and Kevin Spacey on there. They have some nerve removing Johnny Depp's stuff." Which is absolutely true. I really could not have said that comment better myself. And finally at number 1, the royal family. If you've seen The Crown, then you know why the royal family absolutely hates Netflix. Usually the royal family is pretty quiet about these types of things, but the 4th season, which focuses on Diana, has caused such a stir that the family has commented. The Daily Mail wrote, quote, "Friends of Prince Charles launched a blistering attack on The Crown last night, accusing producers of the hit Netflix drama of trolling on a Hollywood budget and presenting fiction as facts." Apparently those with ties to the royal family think that Netflix is exploiting the family for monetary gain, as well as presenting a twisted version of events. As a way to fight back, the family urged Netflix to add a warning before the show that stated that the show is a work of fiction. However, Netflix did not do this and claims that audiences know it's loosely based on a true story. But I get why the family is mad, because I mean, the show makes them look really bad.